Greetings, greetings, voices from wise women. Shakweshta Satawi. How's everyone doing today? And we have a couple of our guests today. One of them is Damaris Wright. Lynetta Williams is going to be on, and Renetta Williams. So we're going to talk about fathers. And happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there, and happy Father's Day to all you mothers that stood in for the fathers when the fathers weren't there. Yeah. So, when we first start, first of all, I want everybody to subscribe to Earth Mama Network. Go to Earth Mama Network, and I don't know, we just disappeared. What happened? Oh, Earth. Okay, I don't know what happened there. Go to Earth Mama Network and like, share, put your notifications, subscribe to the network. We have a lot of different shows, so I want everybody to, check out that. And anytime we start Voices from Wise Women, we always do a 30-second meditation, and that's to bring everyone into the room. That's to allow you to calm yourself down for 30 seconds, to kind of prepare yourself for what we're going to be talking about today. It also releases all the things that you've been going through this morning, getting up, getting kids, breakfast, all that kind of stuff going on. So we're going to take our 30 seconds meditation. We're going to close our eyes, take a deep breath in, and in 30 seconds, and bring ourselves into the room. All right. Whew. So we're all nice and calm, and we are ready to start.
Yeah, I can actually say that. I'm sorry, I can actually say that was very calming.
All calm and ready to go. So
I was able to gather in right at the right time.
Yeah, right.
I was having some Wi-Fi issues.
Like we always do. It's all good. It's all good. So today I always pull from a calendar. Today it says, today I celebrate all that I am and all that I will become. So that's good. I also pulled a card, and the card says my healing is already in progress. And so we know within our community, a lot of healing is going on, and it says we're already in progress. So right before sitting with sisters, they had their discussion this morning, and they talked about what do we want as a people out of this whole protest. So, they were saying, think about 5 things that Black people want out of this rebellion that we're kind of going through. So that's something for people to kind of think about what they really want. So today we're going to be talking to some wonderful colleagues of mine, some great sisters that have been doing work, grassroots work in the community. And we're going to talk about Black fathers and daughter relationships. So first I'd like to introduce you to Damaris Wright. And Damaris, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Shakweshta, for inviting me here. My name is Damaris Wright. I worked with community and school-based programs for about over 15 years. So I'm kind of like family youth development, worked in mainly the Chicago land, but a little bit in the suburban area as well. Just trying to help families develop and do better.
Good. Lynetta, tell us a little bit about you and who you are.
Hi, everyone. I am Lynetta Williams. I have worked in the social service field for over 15 years as well. My passion is working with the youth, young women in particular, building them up, inspiring them, helping them to understand that they can live their best lives, and just celebrating that process with them. I've started out working with teen moms in my first job, and just continued in it, working at Cook County Jail, providing services to the detainees there. They were youth, just being able to be a light. And now I'm back at it again with young moms, and within the community, I do the same thing, all about building community, family. That is what I love.
Great, great. So these sisters are like on the front line. So anytime I wanted to know, we all work together at the YWCA, and I wanted to know anything about youth, I would go to them like, what's the word? What's going on? What's the dances? What's the phrases? And they would always know what was going on. So I do kind of miss that because I'm away from all that now. So, but today we wanted to talk about Black fathers and daughter relationships, and I really wanted to talk to you all because I know that you work with young girls and how the Black fathers there or not being there affects them. So I read something the other day that says the bond between a father and a daughter is unique. A girl's relationship with her father shapes her childhood experience and determines her behavior as a child. It's the father who sets an example of a dream man and a healthy and successful life. If dad doesn't participate in a girl's life or his actions are erratic, it may lead to low self-esteem and trouble with trusting men in general. So do you believe that statement is true? If a man's not into a girl's life, what really happens? What do you think about that?
So I think that we have different experiences. So working with youth, that's one experience, and then also the personal aspect of everybody's life because everybody has a father.
Right.
I'll say with the youth, a lot of the fathers don't participate. We're seeing more participation now. Don't get me wrong. A lot of fathers don't participate, and a lot of the moms do act out. They are looking for love. They're looking for like the father figure, things like that. So yes, I agree with that statement.
Okay. Lynetta,
Yeah.
what do you think about that?
I definitely agree. I believe that fathers give their children their identity. And so it is so necessary to have that father-daughter bond. And if you're not getting it in your father, you need it from some male figure, so that you have an example of what it is to be loved by a man.
Okay. Okay. So from your professional experience, can you tell us if a father shapes their daughter's self-esteem? Because you work with young girls, so do you see the young girls are now having children themselves? So do you see how, or have you seen how that has affected them in terms of the relationship they have with their child's father?
I would say yes. Yes, it does affect a person's self-esteem, mother or father, whatever caregiver. But yes, a father would affect a person's self-esteem. I know I could speak to a few girls that I did work with over the years, and that they was very expressive about not having their father in their life. Um, and they felt as if they were neglected and I guess rejected because why? The question is always why. And it is very important for fathers to show up in their children's lives.
Right. Someone just said, since a father to me is a girl's first love. And so someone was at, and I said, yeah, that is true. That is true. That's from Cheryl. Yeah, father is a girl's first love.
I'm sorry, because I can't even say for my own father. I used to be bossy. I'll tell my dad what to do. Like, Dad, you got to listen to me. And he would just let me do whatever, like have my way. He would listen to me and things like that. So yeah, I probably would say that 100%.
Right. Lynette, you want to chime in on that?
I definitely agree. A father definitely has impact on your self-esteem. Going back to my comment of them, a father giving a child their identity, they really encourage you. They really give you the confidence that you need to be who you are. So growing up, I was a hairy little girl. I had hair all on my legs and even had facial hairs. And I remember as a child, I saw a woman and she had facial hairs, and I thought it was funny at the time. And she told me, she said, "Oh, just wait, little girl, you gonna have hair too." And sure enough, I had facial hairs and just was hairy. I had been hairy, I was my mama's hairiest child. That's what she would say. But my dad encouraged me. I never felt, insecure about it, self-conscious about it. He would tell me that's rich blood. You know what I mean?
Right.
And although, we want to remove certain facial hairs and things like that, we want to look our best. I never felt insecure or like something was wrong with me, like I wasn't beautiful. And that was because what my dad told me. So it really does matter. A father has huge impact on self-esteem. He will have you walking in your in your light in full
Right.
confidence just because of something he said to you, how he's encouraged you. So I definitely agree that a father impacts
Right.
self-esteem.
So someone just wrote, we're talking relationship with fathers on Father's Day. And I'm like, yeah, we're not bashing anyone. We're just talking about how
Oh,
fathers do
absolutely.
impact a
Absolutely.
child, a daughter's life and how important that is. So I think that's something we need to discuss. A lot of times we don't discuss things in the Black community because people always feel like they're being bashed or they're being whatever. We have to be able to have these conversations whenever we have
Right.
them, to talk about them so we can clear if there's any misunderstandings or clear miscommunication, or to let people know this is how we feel. Because I think a lot of times as women, we don't really express how we really feel about certain things. And so I think it's important that we do have these conversations. That's why I picked today to do that.
And
It
we
really
also
is.
have to understand not everybody had a bad experience, so we won't
Mhm.
just be saying like negative. We're talking about reality, the reality of the good and the reality of the bad,
Exactly.
and how as people how we can move forward and do better.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
So
you know what? These are good conversations to have. I'm sorry
go ahead. No, you're right.
to
Go ahead.
cut you, but yeah, these are definitely good conversations to have, and they're necessary so that people can see all the many colors that goes into relationships, especially in the Black community, and so that we can actually begin to express ourselves. I know in my household, one of my favorite things, and hopefully Renita will be able to join. She's actually my sister.
Right.
What we experience is being able to express ourselves to our father. So
Mhm.
he was the one we could talk to about anything.
Right.
So
That's
it's so
exactly how it
important. I
was.
think these conversations are really good.
Right. And that's exactly how I was. I was able to talk to my father more than I was to my mother. So I
Hmm.
definitely.
Funny
So
thing, funny thing is because I kind of got the opposite. My dad is just one of those type of people like. He's like just one of those people. He probably don't want to talk about like mushy things. And I think I developed a lot of his personality with that because my mom is more like nurturing and loving and things like that.
okay.
And my dad has like it'll be all right, or I'll buy you something, and I have like that same personality where I do with my daughter. I'm like, okay, I have to like do a little bit more because people expect the mom to be more nurturing and being able to talk to the person.
Oh, someone said, I tease my dad all the time, telling him that I'm the reason I'm single because they don't make men like him anymore. And you know what?
That is
That's true. That's true. I think
awesome.
for me, it
That's
was like
pretty
for
cool.
me because my father was a very loving, very my father never spanked us or anything like that. He was always about, we don't need to hit people. Let's have a conversation. And I remember one time we had did something. He brought us all in, my brothers and I. We were like, "Can you just beat us and let us go outside?" And he was like, "No, no, we're not hitting. Let's have a conversation." And so he would sit down and talk. We would just be like, "Oh God, these are just conversations." But it taught us just about being patient. It taught us about how to be fair. It taught us how to be loving, that you don't have to hit anybody to get something across to someone. No matter what I did, I could always talk to my father. He was so connected. Like even if there was something going on and you didn't tell him, he could call you in and say, "Okay, what's going on?" Be like, "Oh, no, I'm fine." He's like, "No, no, something's going on." Oh, here, there's Renita. She's joined us. Hey, Renita, how are you?
Hey, Renita.
So I don't know. She might be frozen, but oh yeah, she's smiling, so she does hear us. Okay. Oh, we got to move on. So, how do you think a father can influence their daughter's body image?
mm, that's a
So,
good one.
yeah,
Yeah, but
Let me think on that.
it actually speaks to kind of like what you were talking about, Lynetta, like with the hair and things like that, being proud of who you are instead of being shameful. The funny thing is, I don't. My dad is like a man's man. He like I'm his daughter, so he don't want to talk about like body
Right.
stuff. So
Right.
I think he kind of like stayed away from that. So I don't really know how it if it did or did not impact me. I can't really even speak to that.
I think for
I
me,
don't.
because my father, he didn't talk about like, oh, that's a big woman or that woman, whatever. So he didn't say anything about it. So it made me kind of think that all women were okay because he didn't criticize them or whatever
Oh,
it was. The only thing he would talk about was that he didn't like women that were drunk. He just said he thought that was very sloppy and women should always be in control. So sometimes I think I'm a little controlling, but because he always said women always had to be in control because if you were not and you went out and you drank, anything could happen to you. And so he was always about, being in control. But I never heard him say, "Oh, she's a big woman," or "She's that," or anything like that. So it kind of let me feel like whatever size or whatever I was okay. So I think a lot of times, and then also how a man treats his wife as well. I think we, as young girls, we look at how our fathers treat our mothers and kind of look at that as how one should be.
Yeah. So my dad, I growing up, I never really heard him say much about like our appearance,
Mm-hmm.
other just being so loving and affectionate towards
Right.
us, letting us know we were beautiful. But and he didn't talk down about women,
Right.
but I paid attention to what he was attracted to.
Oh,
So,
okay.
like if he saw a certain woman walk past, and she was attractive, he respond a certain way. And
Mm-hmm.
so that actually did affect me. Like I'm thinking, okay, you have to have thick legs or a big butt or something like that
Mm-hmm.
to be attractive. But he never downed a woman. He respects women who just take care
So,
of themselves. He loves a
mm-hmm.
woman who will take care of herself and carry herself in a certain way.
Right.
But I did pay attention to, who he would whistle at or, make a comment to us about. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do influence body image, even if it's not direct. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just in their behaviors, how they interact
Right.
with or respond to other women.
Right. So, Renita, you just joined us and you wrote a book. And so you talked in your book about father-daughter relationships. Oh, can she hear us?
Yes. Hi,
Okay.
ladies. Yes. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm having a poor connection. But um, as far as what I remember with my dad, I my feet are rather large for to be a woman. Um, and I remember telling my dad, like, I issue with it. I wish that I could change it. But he immediately went to make me feel comfortable and just letting me know that, my feet went with my size and, I was made the way that I was because that's who I'm supposed to be. And, words, but when he talked to me, I immediately felt comfortable and I focused as much as I did. It's like, okay, they go on my size. Like my dad said, it's okay. So I was able to be more confident when it came to what I considered, something that wasn't the best part of me. I would have changed it immediately if I could, but he helped me to learn to accept it and love me and my feet the way that I am. And I just, he's always been respectful. I've always noticed that even if he used profanity, it wasn't with us or in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I very rarely even heard him, of him being disrespectful even to a woman. If he's talking with guys, it's maybe like if they're like joking and have a conversation, men gonna talk the way that they talk. But I've always seen him being respectful to women and young girls. I remember I said something that he didn't agree with in front of my child. I don't think it was a cuss word because, of course, I was in front of my dad. But he immediately corrected me, letting me know, like, if it was something I felt uncomfortable saying in front of him, I should feel uncomfortable saying it in front of my child. So I just have so many ways that he taught me to love and respect myself as well as others.
Mm-hmm. Good, good. So it says fathers show their daughters fathers show their daughters how women deserve to be treated. When a father is present, present in the home. And so young women look for guidance. So the young women that you all work with, how are you able to help them if they do not have a father in their home to really work with them in terms of guidance and in relationships?
So for me, one of the first things I do, I always, when we talk to moms in the program, we actually connect with a father's program, whether the mom and the dad is not together, because I think it's super important that the father is aware that his presence is important. A lot of times, people have children really young, and sometimes they don't think it's important. Hey, the child is only 1 year old, the child is only 2. I'll be back when the kid is 5 or whatever. So by connecting the fathers to those programs, that has helped in my work a whole lot, because the father then realized how important it is. He then realized how important the relationship to just get along, to know how to co-parent with the mom as well. So that has worked a little bit. But again, you probably just can't reach everybody.
Right.
That's one of the strategies that we use.
Mm-hmm. Lynetta, you're out there in the street, so.
So one of the things that I do, and even in the work that we do, is it's all about modeling behaviors. So we reach them by presenting to them what's been imparted in us. So we get to share the grace. I get to share one of the greatest gifts I've received from my dad is love, and to be able to express it and show affection. And so in the program, the girls get that from me. They get that love, they get that positive energy, and they get that encouragement. Yesterday, I celebrated my birthday, and I received so many messages from some of them, and it was nice to hear, what they're getting. They, sometimes you don't know, if they're getting it, you know what I mean? But they were sharing some of the things yesterday. And just the energy that I have is one of the things that was expressed and celebrated a lot as they celebrated me yesterday with their messages. So I think, we impart whatever grace has been imparted in us from our relationships with our dad. The girls are getting it. But then the other side of it, is we provide an environment for them to be able to talk about whatever they are missing, and so there's that opportunity for healing, or to even learn some things about what a father's love should be like. And then we get to talk about the value of it for them to allow that relationship to build between their child and their child's father, so we are in a position to kind of help them start something new if they haven't experienced it themselves, about building certain relationship, as the mayor said, partner with other organizations who are working with men, encouraging our girls to take advantage of their circle of support. If it's a pastor, if it's an uncle, if it's somebody at a community center like the YWCA, connect and, allow that relationship to impart the grace that you need in your life so you can develop in that, so your child can reap the benefits of it.
Right. Someone just asked, so what do I say to my 11-year-old daughter who doesn't even want to call her father today? Feel he doesn't even earn a call on a day like today.
Yeah. That one's kind of hard, but I think for me, just letting her know the importance of her dad's role. Yeah, people make mistakes, things like that. Nobody's perfect. I still think it is important to still have that relationship even at 11 years old. You might need your dad even when you turn 20 years old. But just, sitting the child down, just having a conversation and just trying to understand why. And then maybe encouraging her to have that conversation with her dad so she can express to him how she's feeling, so he can then, try to make a better relationship between the two.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I think
You know what? I would simply just have a conversation with the young lady and just ask her about her feelings. Where is this coming from? And just give her the space if she doesn't want to be at peace with that. But have a conversation with her about it and get an understanding of what she's feeling, what's missing in the relationship, and just hear her out. And perhaps she's willing to write a letter or a card to talk, to get some stuff out to her dad. I remember as a child, as a teenager, I had an issue with my father. And I have this thing, like, I really respect authority. So it's hard for me to go to someone who's older than I am if I have an issue directly, because I want to be respectful.
Right.
But I had an issue with my dad at one point, and what I did was I went and I wrote a letter, because I knew a wall was starting to build between me and my dad. And me and my dad, we were best friends. And so he could sense it, and he was starting to feel like I didn't love him anymore. And I knew that. And so I expressed it in the letter. But writing that letter allowed my dad to see the things that was bothering me, and to see some things in himself that he could work on. And it allowed me to express myself and say what I needed to my dad. And the wall was just broken immediately. It wasn't like for a long period, but I knew it was coming up, and I knew I needed to have this conversation with my dad so that our relationship can continue to flourish and be healthy. So I think it may be a good idea to just find out if something is going on the inside with the young lady, and if she's interested, have her write a letter or do a card or something. That may be a better way, or easier way, or more comfortable way for her to express herself to her dad. And I do know that it can work. My dad was so proud that I wrote the letter, and he came to me and he apologized, for the things that was bothering me, and it was just the best thing ever.
Wow. That's okay. Okay. Someone had a question, said, how do you work with girls who feel they don't miss anything from not having a dad?
Yeah, I think that we actually get that sometimes. And I think when the father, if a father is absent, how do you know what a present father feel like, right? So of course, if you never had candy, you might, you probably don't like it, right? So, like, for me, I like to work with those girls, just sharing experiences of, and you really have to be careful with this part too, because if the father is not in the person's life, you don't want to make them then feel bad because their father is there if they're already feeling great with themselves,
Right.
But I think that just letting them be expressive and asking the questions, asking appropriate questions. So we have a mental health specialist on deck, where we have like group therapy sessions and things like that. So this will be a perfect session for that, so that people can get things out, understand why they're feeling the way they feel. Group therapy for me.
So Renita, you wrote a book. So tell us a little bit about what's in your book when you talk about your father-daughter relationship. Can we hear her? Hello, is she frozen again? She might be frozen again.
It looks like she might be frozen.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move on then.
It's over.
Okay, I can hear a little bit.
I'm sorry. You all can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I can hear you now,
Okay.
But go ahead.
So the book was just, it was my journey to overcoming the mental and emotional chaos that I was dealing with within. And when it comes to my father, I I was able to understand that I have been surviving and able to keep going because I had the patience, I had the love, and I had the encouragement that I needed in order to believe in myself and keep going. Be afraid because I made a mistake or feel that I was a bad person. So when I realized that I wasn't where I wanted to be, I had to ask myself why, because I had such a strong support system. So I needed to understand what was standing in the way. And I believe that the love that I had from my father was the one of the key ingredients that I needed in order to get the confidence that in order to chance on things, because we're naturally designed to protect ourselves. So we want to keep ourselves safe. We want to belong. And when we're doing something that requires us to step out of our comfort zone, we're feeling fear, resist even doing what it is that, is going to take us out of our comfort zone, because we want having my father make it was okay to do it one, two, if it was something that I wouldn't hinder myself. Even yesterday, we had a conversation, and I was telling him that I didn't realize, and I didn't want to step on toes with the things that I was trying to step out and do, with trying to overshadow someone who was helping me. And he told me that I was meant to step out and be front and center, not to play, in the background or be second. And he told me, don't try to dim my light, don't diminish it. And I was just thankful because he's always been that person, and he's always been that, that support. And I think that that's what young need, because we see women doing what they have to do, getting up, making it happen, rain, sleet, or snow, they doing what they need to do. But when we have the man there who's being patient with us, who's not being aggressive, or abusive in any way, he's listening to us, allowing us to have feelings and not making us feel like we're being dramatic or we're asking for too much. He's letting us know it's okay.
Right.
I hear you. Your feelings matter. What you want matters. Those type of things. I think that that's what a father should be.
Okay. What's the name of your book?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
What is the name of your book?
Fearless, Focused, and Determined.
Oh, where can you find it?
Fearless, focused, on purpose.
Oh, where can we purchase it?
It has not come out yet. It's actually in the formatting stage. Okay. When the release date comes, then I'll be able to share the information.
Okay. Good. So someone
but it will be available on Amazon.
Okay, great.
But she has a romance novel that is out now.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
It's a good read too.
Okay, good. Someone asked a question. As grown women, what kind of relationship and support do you have with your fathers now?
Yeah, so I don't always have to go first, but I guess I can go. For me, it is weird because my dad.
I would say that I still have.
You're able to hear us.
I'm sorry.
Okay, who's going to start?
Okay, I guess I can. Okay. So I was just saying, like, it's kind of weird because my dad, growing up, he was like
the
main caregiver. So he was the person that went to the schools doing report cards. So I went to a Catholic school. So we were required to go to mass. So he was the person who had to go to mass, and he was the fun person that took us out to eat or like snuck us out the house and go get ice cream and things like that. But my dad was not that expressive or emotional, if you will. So right now, like if I call my dad or if I text him and say, "Hey, Dad, I love you," he'll be like, "What's wrong? Are you okay? Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." So we don't have like that conversation that like probably a typical dad and daughter will have. So he'll call me on my birthday, or I'll call him, or I'll go over his house every now and again. So It's like touch and go, but it's not like sit down and have like those in-depth conversations. And you got to be careful if you say "I love you" too many times, because he gets scared like something's going to happen to me or his children. Like, what's wrong? So
right.
And so that's pretty cool, Damaris. Right now, as an adult, I'm still very close to my dad. We're still friends. We love for my dad to come and celebrate and come to parties with us, dance with us. But as adults, of course, I don't. We don't demand so much of his time anymore, and he has a life. He goes out and step, and he's into fitness. He teaches boxing, and he's busy. He has his own life, so the time is not as demanding as it was growing up, but we're still very close. My dad still says "I love you" every time he sees us, and he gives us a kiss. He greets us with a kiss every time he sees us. I can still talk to him about things, but I think I've as an adult, I talk more to my friends now, my sisters now. But yeah, we're still very close, very, very close. It's always fun when we're around each other, and the relationship is just it's still a strong bond.
Good. Good. So Renita, your relationship with your father now?
Yes. So my relationship with my dad is very loving and supportive. We can have a great time always. And the one thing that stands out to me is that me and my dad can actually talk for hours. Like the time will just pass by. Before we know it, it's like 2 or 3 hours and pass by, and neither one of us was ready to get off the phone. I absolutely love it. And we can talk about anything, no matter what it is. Like we've always been able to come to him and talk about anything, and it's still the same way today. He's still gonna give us the love and affection, the kisses, the hugs, and he's gonna come out if we want him to. So it's very loving. I'm very happy about it.
Someone asked a question. This was for me then. For those whose fathers who are ancestors now, how do you honor them on Father's Day? And so for me, I think I talk to my father all the time. I was very, very close to him. And it took me, it took me 3 years before I could even say his name and not just start, crying, because I had that very, very close relationship. But I think for me, I honor him by just being the best person that I can, by being loving, by being, he always was a big thing about, I represent not only, I represent the Tate family, because my family's name is Tate. And so I represent the Tate family, and it meant something to him for us to be stand-up citizens. I represent, not only that, I represent, as they called back then, the Negroes. So when I went out, I represent the Negroes, I represent the Tate family, I represent myself, I represent my father. And so I think giving back to the community, I think that's the way I honor him. Being a good citizen, I think I honor him. I think helping the people around him, because he was always about helping community people. my family was always about helping community people, or if someone was on the street, we were never allowed to say, he's a bum or he's what. Like, no, 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 no. You don't know anything about his life. You don't know what's happened to him. And there's things that happen to people that make them become who they are. And so my mother said, never say never, because you never know what might happen to you. So that just really, when I was a kid, took me back like, whoa, let me just be conscious of what I think about people and how I respond to people. So I think I honor him just being who I am every day. That's what I do, in terms of.
Sequester, one of the things that I've been seeing on social media today, which I think is like so super duper cool. So the fathers that's not here with us today, a lot of people are sharing those pictures. A lot of people are just expressing what their dad left in them, what their dad did when he was alive, just giving accolades to their fathers. I thought it was amazing. Today I've been just reading through it, just looking at it, like, oh God, this is cool. So yeah, I think that's a perfect way to honor your father on today when he's not here.
Right. I think Rolanda has some pictures of Lynette and her father, and some pictures of me and my father. So when she gets the chance, she's gonna bring those up so we can see those. But someone said, yeah, still talking to Daddy, saying his name, telling his wise men stories, loving Daddy. That's what someone said. Oh, this is a picture of me and my father. I think I must have been in 6th grade. I must have just got my hair curled.
How cool is that?
That was like around Easter or something like that. I had just got my hair curled. And he brought tears to his eyes when I came from the beauty shop. When I walked in with my hair, he was just started crying like, oh, wow, she's becoming a young woman, young lady. Because he was always talking about young ladies and how young ladies act. And so that was just a picture of he and I. So that was
That's cute.
Yeah.
Really sweet.
With my glass, the whole little thing, my
yeah.
And this is a picture of him. He loved my daughter. And so that's him.
How cool is that?
Yeah, he said that was the best thing I ever did was when I gave him a granddaughter. He loved Stephanie. So they hung out all the time. So he called her Queen, and she called him Papa. So that was Papa and Queen. And they would do all kinds of stuff and go out places, and she would come back with all kinds of gifts and stuff. That was his thing. And I remember he put a Valentine's Day, he put a thing in there in the Sun Times to her, wishing her a happy Valentine's Day to his queen or something. He was in the Sun Times, and I remember she cut it out and she was all excited that he had did that for her. So that was popular. He's a very loving
that's beautiful
gentleman. Yeah, he was very, very, very nice man. Very, very. And then my brothers are like him. So the brother that I live with now is exactly like my father, exactly like him. So that's exactly like him. So it's just really interesting to see how my youngest brother has those traits like my father. So he's real protective and checking the doors and where y'all going and what's going on, and to get your mask when you go outside. And he bought all these masks for us to make sure we have them, and he's always on top of stuff. So it's just funny to see those traits in my brother as well. So I'm glad that we all had really great fathers. And sometimes when we have children, our daughters may not have those kind of fathers, and that just makes it. So I think in my case, because my child's father was not around the way I wanted him to be, my brother stepped in. So all my 3 brothers, so they all stepped in, and my father, they provided her with those guidance that we got from our father. So I think a lot of times if you don't have the father around, there are uncles, there are cousins, sometimes there's friends. Like a guy that I dated sat her down and was telling her, he said, look, you're almost, at that time she was about 13. Okay, you're going to start dating pretty soon. Let me tell you what they're going to say. Oh, here's the picture of my father and all my brothers and all of us.
Oh, how cool is that?
There I am in the corner. Yeah. And so he sat down and talked to my daughter, all the things the guys are going to say. And it was so funny. 2 years later, when she started dating, she said, oh my God, the guys are saying the same things he said that they were going to say. And I was like, Jim told me about that. He told me about that. He told me about that. So a lot of times you can have else that can come in, and
Great.
I'm holding my youngest brother, and that's the one that I live with now. We all live together, so yeah, that's so funny.
Nice.
Yeah, so
That's a blessing.
we can find someone that can step in that you trust, that can provide that guidance from a male's perspective, I think.
Yeah, that's super important. My
Yeah.
sister, so one of my sisters, her son's father was killed, and she had another kid by her now husband. So he's that father figure for him because, after his father died, he felt like he was missing out. You can see he was kind of sad. He didn't have like that male figure to go to. But then when my sister remarried, he stepped right in and gave him everything that he needed. He's such a happy kid now. He's like 12.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. So now, your program does interact with Father's program as well. So I think Dovetails is one of the ones that are around. I think Metropolitan, everybody is Chicago. Metropolitan Family Service also has a Father's program, I think, as well. So there's a lot of them. We just need to have more programs, I think, for young women. That's what I like to see, because they're pumping a lot of money into the male part, but I like to see more money get pumped into the female as well.
Yeah, a lot of times the fathers are not recognized. That I think that's one of the things. I know they're having like more programs for fathers, but I don't know if it's not being marketed well, or because a lot of fathers that you even meet day to day don't even know some of these programs exist.
They got a lot of money. They should definitely be out there. They got millions of dollars to do that, and then now they have this even with Obama's program. So they got a lot of money. Somebody's not doing the marketing.
But one of the things that we do try to do, even in the parenting program with the mothers, we try to invite the fathers whenever we can. We encourage them to participate all the time, even if they're not together, even if they're not in the same household. We still give them information. Say, hey, do this activity with your child, or hey, take your child out and go for a walk. So we get them things to do, with the child, so they can be included as well.
Okay. Okay. So we're getting toward the end of the show. So any parting words you want to leave with women that don't have fathers, or leave with young women that have children or have daughters, that fathers are not in their lives, and how they can get them in their lives?
For me, I think what do you call it? Exposure, like exposing fathers to what's out there if they don't know, because I know you said there's millions and millions of dollars out there. So even exposing fathers to the things that's out there. Also inviting the guys in to participate, because one of the things that I've heard time and time again is that they're not asking us to participate. Like they have these things, but they're not asking us to participate. So that's one of the things that we try to do. We always encourage participation. I don't care how small it is. I know that men and women play is a little different. Men are a little rougher with moms get kind of scared with that, but just encourage it even when the child is born. I think that's super duper important, because I know a lot of times fathers think, well, what am I going to do with the kid right about now? The moms that children that's fathers is not there, I would encourage the mom to tell my child and have that hard conversation, and just but also protect your children, because you don't want your children to be hurt. So I understand that sometimes that can be really, really hard, but just having an open mind, reaching out to the father, and just seeing how you guys can work together better.
Okay, thank you, Lynette.
Could you repeat what you said, Shaquestra?
Oh, I was saying parting words. So what would you like young women that have fathers in their lives to know, or what would you like for you young women that have daughters and the father is not in their life?
Okay. Well, I would say if as much is up to you encourage the relationship between a father and the daughter. If you have a child and the father is not involved, maybe not because he doesn't want to be, but there may be an issue between the two of you. I would definitely encourage any woman to try her best to nurture that relationship between the father and the daughter, because fathers interact differently with with their daughters.
Right.
And there is something that he's going to give her, even in how he plays with her, that a mom just won't be able to give. Men are rougher, whereas my daddy and I were probably me and my mom, we're probably going to cook something together, or, you know, clean up something together. Men interact different with their daughters, and they impart different things in at the same time. And those are some characteristics, some qualities that they need, as they grow into strong, healthy, loving, smart, confident women. So I definitely would encourage that relationship, as much as up to the mom,
Okay, thank you.
do that.
Renita.
And then I
All right.
like this question. Someone is saying, should women consider what kind of a father these men will be in the future? I think you should pay attention to the
Yep.
character of a man, period.
Yep.
Whatever qualities you want imparted into your child, pay attention to the character of that man, for sure.
Lord, no, I would have did a whole different thing. Woo. Mm. Yes. Yes. I didn't get my child wouldn't have been here, so that's another whole story. That's another whole. So,
Right.
Anita, what's your parting you would like to add? Your parting words? I know it takes a while for it to.
I would like for women, who have children and the father may not be active, know that it's not their fault. If they give the man the option to be there and he chooses not to be there, do not beat themselves up about it. Love themselves and love their child to the best of their ability. If the father is around, allow him to know that the door is open, but he cannot toy with the child.
Yeah.
But when he chooses to be in the child's life, the door is open as long as the child is willing to have him. And I feel the same way with the child. If the father is absent and the child, I don't want the children to beat themselves up as well. If they do not have the father, then think what it is that they're missing from the father and choose to make the choice to have someone that mirrors that when they make the decision to become a parent. Also, the main thing is to love themselves and know that it's not their fault. They can't control another person. They can only open the door for the person to come in if they choose.
All right. So thank you, ladies. Please stay on afterwards. We're going to do some debriefing. But I just want to tell everybody in the family, happy Father's Day, peace, bliss, and blessings. Next week, we're going to have 3 generations. So it'll be myself, my daughter, my granddaughters. We're going to talk about how it is to work with wise women like me to travel all around. And we have traveled with them as well. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to Earth Mama Network. Subscribe, like, and share. So thank you, ladies, so much. I really appreciate you. Check them out on YWCA Metropolitan Chicago, the Young Parents Program. We're going to look for Renita's book to be coming out soon, and we'll have her come back. And I'm definitely going to have you all come back. I'm going to talk about some other things, too, for young women as well. So thank you all. We will see you next week.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
This was cool.
Yes.